got it. Okay, you said that HOV lane there in and out of traffic. He does. See, yeah, NBC IFB for me.
G'day, Mr. Happy. Yeah, I've found something while I'm kicking back.
Could you
G'day, Brother Bushy.
IFB for me?
Try to get a focus. Yeah, just shit posting.
I might need it on another hilltop. It's just really scratchy. We're currently in like Hacienda Heights.
This is in LA,
oh yeah,
Bobcat.
Telemundo's fine. I can hear them practicing it. Sounds clear. It's NBC that I'm worried about. I can't hear it.
Come on.
Yes, that's it. Sounds like it's going to be better. Thank you.
No, that's not me, Bobcat. No, fuck that. I'll give
I
that.
was hearing them a
Oh,
moment ago.
Budsy, g'day, mate. No, I'm not in the high speedy. It's live, though, from LA, man.
Okay, copy that.
Just shit posting at the moment.
Alright,
I'm
back
getting
with you
ready
guys
to
here. I had
do
to
it.
take care of a quick little housekeeping issue because we are getting ready to start our shows. And I say shows because we're doing Telemundo and NBC at the top of 11. Pursuit continues here westbound on the 60. We're very close to the Rose Hill Cemetery. In fact, we're flying right over it. And it looks like he's going to transition onto the 605. So setting up to go 605 north, but let's see if he completes it. Yeah. But actually, it looks like it might be 605 north. Yeah. So made a last second change there. 605 north, or 605 south, rather. 605 south. 605 south coming under the 60 freeway.
When he crashes out, we'll play a song, eh? Whoa,
now they're coming up the 605 here west on the 60, so they're, like I said, they're getting into the El Monte area, and further on from there, you'll have it East LA. But what I was getting at is Bell PD took it up on the freeway, and once they request CHP takes over and stays with it. Bell PD drops out, and then CHP can hang on to it as long as they feel comfortable. And then once they get into an area where they feel the allied agency would do a better job of it, then they'll request the allied agency to take it over.
Okay, so this, that looked like a transition road. It's hard to tell with our, so now it's on the 605. This is really illustrative of what I was talking about with the LA freeway system, and is that you can go quite a distance east, but then you can find a way to drop down to the south and go to the west and back up to the north. You could just do lots and lots of rectangles or circles, whatever you want to call it, all around the LA County area. And this driver may know that. This driver may be aware of the area enough that, again, that whole concept of as long as I am driving this car, I'm not in handcuffs. So that driver might just keep going and try hand at the freeway system. And lucky for this person, you know, Friday lights, it's Saturday night. There doesn't seem to be there aren't as many cars that there might be if this were an earlier pursuit or a weekday pursuit.
That's correct. Yeah, these freeway systems that we have here in Los Angeles are pretty intricate. You can't get make a lot of distance in a very short amount of time. And I've been there, done that on pursuits where we just made the great circle route around the LA area and around the Southland all the way down into Orange County, where he's heading the direction he's going now, all the way back up in, north up into the valley. And so, if the person knows the system and it's not really that complicated, they can just keep this rolling. But at this speed that he's rolling, I don't know how long his fuel is going to last. If he's tanked up, I would say probably, 400 miles at the most. So, we're looking at about a 4-hour chase if you want to go by that calculation. So it's just a matter of time. And also, too, these cars, if you run them too hard, sometimes the engines will give up on them just because they're not built to go that long, that fast. So, but the thing is, like, as we've been watching here since I've been on with you, his driving is not that erratic. I mean, he's very smooth on his movements. There's no quick snap of the steering wheel or any type of moving around that would cause that car to lose control or run into the back of somebody. And like we talked about, the impairment, hampering his distance judgment, and be able to see cars ahead of him, be able to react to that.
Sorry about the focus, mate.
We're seeing any of that evident here. So right now, you see CHP is still pretty close to him, so they're still going to stay in active pursuit as they continue here south on the 605.
Well, and sometimes pursuit drivers get so nervous, they want to turn around and take a look themselves, not just rely on the rear view, and then that too can affect their driving. We're not seeing any of that either. So this is not the most exciting pursuit, if I can, qualify for all the pursuits that I have done. But it's a safe one so far. We can't report on anyone, being hit by the car or scraped by the car or, getting into any kind of close scrapes at all where we'd be worried for other drivers. So right now it's a fairly calm one as we keep an eye. And if you're just joining us, we don't have a lot more time in this newscast, unfortunately, but if you are just joining us, basically this is a pursuit that's been going on for more than half an hour now and has gone quite the distance. It's a white Camry. The original want for this driver was DUI out of the city of Bell, and we have just watched as that car has gone all the way east on the 10 and then dropped down on the 57, went across on the 60, now back up on the 605. So it is now in the Whittier area going away from the city of Bell. City of Bell was where this all started. And again, as we were saying, if this original want was for a DUI, it doesn't really appear that this driver is affected or acting as if driving as if under the influence. Tim, I'm watching the clock. We're counting down to our last minute. We're in our last minute now. So what else do you want us to know about what will go on? You think this will just go on as long as the driver can handle it?
Well, from my past experience in pursuits as a media helicopter pilot and as a police helicopter pilot, this is going to be a long one. I just saw a switch off of the CHP to their Salmon Bay Springs office, and they swapped out units. So now it's going to be a run for those Santa Fe units until they get further down in Orange County, where the Santa Ana and Westminster units will take over. So it's going to be a long one. We'll just have to see how it ends up, maybe on the morning news.
All right, we have only 15 minutes left in our Fox 11 newscast. However, I want to let people know if they want to continue watching this pursuit, you can do it on the Fox 11 YouTube channel and our foxla.com.
Well, they're
The speed
still
factor,
going.
headlights are on, everything
100 mile
seemingly
an hour.
normal. Just that really intense high speed, and we've been following this now for more than an hour. Really, it's been going on. The freeways, McCullough, that this driver has been on include the 10, the 5, the 60, 57, and now, as you said, the 605.
Right, remarkable that there hasn't been any erratic driving here other than the high speeds. This car has been driving very fast, but not causing any other crashes along the highways he's been on all night long. In fact, there was only one time where he made one sort of maneuver that was a little questionable as police were continuing to chase him here. You can see that CHP has a chopper on him with the light there. It does appear like he's slowing down a little bit now in the 90 mile per hour zone, but speeding back up there, you can see here as he moves his way down the 605 southbound.
Yeah, and hitting those bumps, you can really see the car kind of fly there. One of the things you noticed is that the traffic is relatively light on this holiday weekend, so he's able to just go straight ahead. There you see the CHP cruiser edging up right behind him, so he definitely knows, he or she, that they are being followed right now, and that authorities definitely want them to pull over. As far as what they could do, they don't seem to be pulling off of this one, as we have seen many times. We see them pull off because they consider this a dangerous pursuit.
Yeah, News Shopper 4 above the air, as well as Ileana with more details on what we're seeing here. What do you got, Ileana?
Hey guys, so this pursuit is southbound on the 605 here, approaching the 91 freeway, and I'm sure you gave the viewers most of the critical details here. The biggest one of which is that officers think that this person is possibly under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and it's a pursuit that's been going on now for quite some time. I put it at over an hour. It was initially officers from the Bell Police Department that tried to pull this driver over, but clearly he failed to yield and the pursuit was on. He made his way over to the highway, though, which is how the California Highway Patrol got involved, since they are the police of our freeways. And since then, this guy has been on multiple freeways. He's been on the 105, the 110, the 405, the 57, the 60, the 605. I probably left a few out. I mean, this pursuit has been going on for quite some time and at very high speeds.
Ileana, CHP is really staying with this driver. Has this been the case all along? Have they been that close and that dedicated to this?
Yeah, so pretty much the entire time that we've been overhead, they haven't given this guy too much in the way of room. What you're seeing now is pretty much what we've seen this entire time. And it's multiple units. I've counted as many as 3. And I just need to widen out to show you some of those additional ones. But 3 units of the CHP have been on this the entire time, as well as multiple helicopters. Initially, when it was Bell Police behind the vehicle, they had the LA County Sheriff's helicopter overhead, since Bell does not have their own. And then once CHP took over, then the CHP helicopter got over the pursuit. So the night sun that you see shining on the vehicle is being provided by the California Highway Patrol. And what we're hearing over their scanner is that they believe that there are 2 adult males inside of this vehicle. Now, because this is a DUI case, the passenger in all of this may not want anything to do with any of it. But of course, he's along for the ride in this case. And so when the pursuit does come to an end, everyone within the vehicle will be detained just the same. And then, of course, officers will determine who is responsible for what. And if that person is not responsible for anything, then, of course, that person will be free to go.
That's new information. 2 people confirmed that we believe at least inside of the car as this chase continues right now. Speeds reaching at times 111 miles an hour. And Ileana, you mentioned police remain pretty close to this car as it continues along the highways. He hasn't ventured off into any roads in different neighborhoods, right? This has strictly been a highway chase.
Yeah, thankfully not, because at the speeds that this guy has been traveling at, this could be such a more dangerous situation. He's been on the freeway literally the entire time that we've been overhead, and it's been over an hour at this point. And so that does take a lot of the danger factor out of it, because you don't have pedestrians, you don't have cross traffic, no red lights, no stop signs. So it does take some of the danger level out of this pursuit. But of course, you see those speeds just as well as I'm seeing them. This guy has been triple digits pretty much most of the time. I believe the highest speed that I saw was 117 miles an hour. But again, unfortunately, really not much in the way of close calls.
No, we do see him changing lanes now. Is this the first time you've seen him kind of go back and forth? And that does get dangerous, because at these speeds, he could clip a car.
Yeah, that really is a concern when he does cut it back close. But he has kind of been all over the freeway, and he's been on multiple freeways. And that part actually makes it more difficult for the officers, because normally we would be talking about things like spike strips. Can they deploy a spike strip in this situation? Well, they can, but at this point it's so difficult to figure out which lane is this guy even going to be in, because he's really been all over the roadway. And right now we're actually coming up to the transition with the 405. Let's see what freeway he picks. I believe it's going to be 405 north, but looks like it's going to be 405 north, but I'll know as soon as he completes the transition.
Yeah, so this is a 605 that feeds into the 405, also the 22 near the Long Beach area, 405 north. That's going to be heavy traffic as it goes through Long Beach, so he's going to encounter a lot more vehicles there. and potentially maybe Ileana's is a good position for police to lay down some of those spike strips if they know that he's headed in that direction.
Yeah, that's the key, is trying to figure out what way is this guy going and which lane is he going to be in to be able to get that spike strip into the right lane. Another thing we often talk about is pit maneuver. Can they do it? Well, the vehicle's the right size for it, but the speed simply are not. He's just going way too fast, and normally for a successful pit, they'd want him to go about 35 miles an hour. But at this point, I can tell you, I've never seen him go that slow. So the slowest I've seen is probably about 60 miles an hour, maybe when he was in a little bit of traffic. So he just really hasn't given them the opportunity.
No, and now that he has picked a freeway, he or she and his, or you said two men, so they picked a freeway now, and it's a straightaway. They are also picking up those speeds, but sometimes we have seen the authorities, the CHP, back off because they don't want to egg them on. They don't want them to keep going faster, but they are really staying with this.
Yeah, they're really staying with it, which is surprising because oftentimes in a situation like this, when a driver has been driving this quickly, they would often go into what's called surveillance mode, when they back the units off and they have it be a helicopter-only pursuit in hopes that the driver will slow down, because perhaps they'll think that, hey, I dodged the police. They're not chasing me anymore. I can slow down. It often does work. But in this case, I have heard no talk of them going into surveillance mode, which makes me think that perhaps officers know a little bit more about this person than we do. Of course, we know that they originally wanted to stop him for DUI. Reckless driving, of course, is going to be part of it. Failure to yield, that's part of it too. But is there something else that they know about this person that is preventing them from backing off into that surveillance mode and staying on him literally just feet away?
Yeah, did you see the CHP officer maneuver just to try to, get around the cars and stay right behind them? So they are very dedicated to this.
Absolutely. And McCullough, I know you're very familiar with this area. We're passing by Long Beach Airport. So as you said, normally this is a very busy area, especially with the holiday coming to an end. A lot of people just coming home using Long Beach Airport to come back to our area. So I can tell you that at least the area around here tends to get pretty busy around this time. Fortunately, at the freeway itself doesn't look that busy. But I just hope that he does stay on the freeway, because for the most part, he's been able to avoid, of course, hitting anything during this pursuit, because he's been on freeways this entire time.
Yeah, that's been remarkable considering the speeds. You mentioned 117 at one of the highest rates you saw. I saw 111 a short time ago. 105 right now northbound, or 405 right now northbound. He's getting close to the 710 interchange. It's going to be curious to see if he goes northbound on the 710. That'll take him back to kind of the Bell area where this all started more than an hour ago.
Absolutely. And from what we know, just from covering pursuits, I've been covering pursuits for the last 13 years. I know that people in pursuits tend to return to an area that is familiar to them, and it makes a lot of sense. If you return to an area that you know, then you're not going to drive into a dead end. You're not going to make a mistake like that. You'll know where the parking structures are. You could maybe try to ditch the car and run into your house or run into a friend's house. So it does give you a few more options than if you're simply lost. In this case, as you said, if he wants to head back to Bell, he's going to have to pick up that 710 North. He's had plenty of opportunities to do it along the way, but really hasn't veered back in that direction. So let's see if, as he approaches the 710, if he finally decides to go that route. But the way he's set up right now, it does put him on the 405 North.
All right, we've covered many pursuits, McCullough. I know you have too. We sit here, we watch these, and we often, I don't even know a percentage, but it is the majority of the time that we see them continue to go back to where it started, a place they are familiar with.
You just missed it there, but he went up to 123 miles an hour. So he's speeding very quickly northbound on the 405 right now as he approaches the 710 interchange. It'll be interesting to see if he does make the turn northbound on the 710, or if he continues on with the 405. He's in the Signal Hill area right about now, and moving very, very quickly.
Yeah, you talked about how traffic might pick up in the area. We have seen a few more cars here, but we're also seeing there's another CHP officer. They are really sticking with him here, and it seems like an open freeway right now.
There's got to be something there, because if CHP is continuing to chase him at these speeds, there's got to be more there than just a DUI, or they think he's a larger danger to drivers, and that's why they're continuing to chase him with not only the chopper in the air, but the but the cruisers behind him as well.
Yeah, and Ileana pointed it out too. Sometimes they can back off and they can use their helicopter to just go into a tracking mode. But look, another officer right there. They are staying lined up right behind him and staying on him, and that just ups the energy right there. I mean, it's just pushing him forward, and he is going at a high rate of speed. Look at that, 115. 116. I mean, some of these speeds are not exactly accurate as it tries to find the exact one, but you get the idea. And this has been going on for almost an hour and a half now. So that is some intense driving. And Ileana pointed out that he has kept these speeds.
Right. If our map is correct here, it looks like we have passed the 710 interchange. So we stayed on the 405 northbound, headed toward what looks like the LAX area, now in the Carson area at these high rate of speeds. I count 1, 2. Ileana said there was 3 cruisers right behind him, and they were keeping up with him at these high rate of speeds as he heads northbound on the 405.
Yeah, and he's been on every freeway almost tonight. She mentioned quite a few. The 405, it's all started in Bell, the 60 freeway at one point, just changing freeways, not on surface streets so far. And she pointed out that is a good thing because at these speeds, we expect that erratic driving to continue. Really hasn't faced much traffic, so it's just a straightaway now as the CHP stays right behind him. I don't know how many patrol cars you have seen, but it's quite a few, at least 3 or 4 that are sticking with him. And look how close they are now at this point. Are they trying to intimidate him? Are they trying to get him somehow to slow down?
Yeah, and he's hovering back and forth from the HOV lane to the left lane of traffic, really trying to maneuver his way through all the traffic that he sees as he approaches the LAX area now in the 405 in the Alondra Park area. Now, if he's going to approach that area, I do know there is construction there. I drove by it this morning or today when I was driving into work, so there could be a potential bottleneck there that could slow him down. It'll be interesting to see how CHP and officers there approach that as he approaches that area.
All right, that'll be something for us to look at as we continue to follow this. It's difficult to see inside the vehicle. It's very dark inside, but we do have information from the scanner that it's 2 people and it's 2 men inside this vehicle. Again, the want is possible DUI and, of course, failure to yield at this point.
Yeah, so once again, we're looking at a white Camry, 2 men inside. Started more than an hour ago using the 10, the 5, the 60, the 57, 605, now back on the 405, headed toward the LAX area. The high rates of speed, sometimes reaching upwards of 120 miles an hour, 115, 111 miles an hour now. At a steady rate in the 90s for the better part of the last couple of minutes.
Long Beach area. Let's check in with Eliana Moreno. She's a news chopper 4. She's been following this for the entire pursuit. Eliana.
Kathy and I last spoke to you just a few minutes ago. We were in Long Beach. We're all the way in Carson now. So this pursuit is a really fast mover, 100 miles an hour plus. I think I just saw about 120 miles an hour just a few seconds ago. So he just crossed over the 110 freeway. He's continuing on the northbound 405. So he's going to be coming up to the South Bay curve here in just a moment. And I can tell you that earlier in this pursuit, this guy was in this area before, but going the opposite way. He had been on the southbound 405. He's made his way over to LAX already twice. So if he continues in this general direction, that's going to make it a 3rd time around back towards the LAX area. And I can tell you that when he does get close to LAX police does get notified by the California Highway Patrol because their concern is that this guy's going to try to hide at the airport. Of course, there's lots of places for people to hide there. We've covered a number of pursuits where that's where vehicles end up because there's so many parking structures, so people figure they can ditch the car and take off running. In this case, though, we don't believe the car is stolen. We believe that this is a DUI case. So if the car's not stolen, officers are able to run the plates on the vehicle, and likely they know who this person is. So ditching the car isn't necessarily going to work in his favor. But again, at this point, continuing in that general direction, northbound 405, making our way through the South Bay curve.
And you talked about some of the things they could do. Pit maneuver doesn't seem possible. It's too high rate of speed, and we're on the freeway, so that's not a possibility. Spike strip, again, the high rate of speed, it would just be so difficult to try to do that. So their options are really just to stay behind and keep this car in sight.
Yeah, at this point, all they can really do is just wait him out. That could mean a number of things. He could crash. Hope that doesn't happen, of course. he could simply run out of gas. I mean, this pursuit has been going on for at least 75 minutes. At least that's how long we've been overhead. It's been going on since before that. So it's unclear how much gas this guy started out with to begin with. And of course, the car could become disabled in some other way, or they could try to deploy some spike strips possibly. So that's still a possibility. It's a difficult one though, just because he's not really sticking to just one lane or one freeway, to make it difficult for those officers to guess exactly where he's going to be able to deploy it effectively. But I will add, since our last report, there's now an additional unit of the California Highway Patrol that is behind this guy. So now we have 4 units of the CHP behind the vehicle, as well as the CHP helicopter overhead.
And Ileana, as we approach LAX right now, we've already seen from our own LAX camera the congestion at the airport at the Horseshoe. Could traffic maybe stop him or slow him down a little bit so police could actually get a handle of him?
Yeah, as we approach LAX, as you said, I'm not seeing too much in the way of traffic on the freeways themselves, but it's those surface streets around the LAX area that could really wear him down. Now, he's actually hitting the brakes right now, so I'm going to try to scoot up ahead and see why there actually is a little bit of traffic. Okay, so let's see what happens here. I'm going to push in on him. I don't want to lose him. He's in the carpool lane there. So let's see if he tries to ride the shoulder or weave in and out of traffic. At this point, it looks like he's pretty much stuck, but let's see what he does.
I want to see what the CHP
getting right on his tail.
Yeah, I want to see what they do at those points. Like you said, they're staying right on him, and he is in a bad position right now. He's going to try to squeeze through somehow, and they're on both sides.
Yeah, it looks like one cruiser is going to try to go around there. It looks like they're coming out of the cars now. They're trying to order him to come out with his hands up. You can see officers there. Have they drawn their weapons? Yeah, they've drawn their weapons.
Can you imagine you're someone on the freeway right now seeing all of this?
Does it look like someone is out the window on the driver's side? Can you see that, Ileana?
Yeah, I do see someone. I can't really tell if he's hanging out the window at all. But this is a really bad situation just for officer safety because you have officers with their guns drawn in the general direction of other vehicles that have nothing to do with it. So that's the problem in this situation. And unfortunately, though, it does look like both doors are opening, which is not what they're asking them to do. Usually it's driver first, passenger next. But at this point, it looks like both occupants are complying. Hands are up, so I feel a little bit more comfortable about pushing in. It does look like a male driver and a woman passenger. The male driver does appear to be complying. He's down on his knees. The female passenger also complying, walking back towards the direction of the officers. So it looks like this little traffic break that was up ahead, clear exactly why, but that little traffic break may actually be what brings things to an end. But 2 people about to be in custody here on the northbound side of the 405 freeway near El Segundo Boulevard.
And a traffic break could have been something that the CHP did. That could have been one of their other tools that they used to try to bring this to an end.
Absolutely. Okay, so they're in custody now. So I'm going to actually go ahead and skip ahead. I want to see what's going on. Was this a traffic break that they did intentionally, or is there an accident? But it looks like it's an accident. So we do have a couple cars off to the side there. You have the CHP blocking because of that collision, and it actually worked out in their favor because it got this guy to completely stop and surrender. But you'll notice that officers aren't letting their guard down. They still have their guns drawn. They have to approach the car, make sure that nobody else is inside. And once we see them gesture with their hand, they'll usually do a number 4. That means that it's a code 4. That means that the car is clear and everyone is in custody. They still have to pop the trunk. That's usually the very last element, and it often takes officers some time to figure out where the release button is. But when they do, they will be able to put a nice little bow on the end of this pursuit.
Yeah, and hopefully they can see inside and make sure that there's nothing else inside. And they have 2 people in custody now, the possible DUI driver and failure to yield. It looks like he may have given the all clear. I can't tell, Liliana.
Yeah, he just did. I was looking for that magical number 4, and I just saw it. So code 4, all clear. So what officers are going to do now is try to just move the car out of the way because obviously the other vehicles are already in traffic because of that collision, so they don't need one more element here. So they're going to move the car out of the way, either off the freeway or off to the right shoulder, and then once the traffic accident clears up ahead, then all of these vehicles will get released. But definitely not what I had in my bingo cards as to how this would come to an end, but it really was for the better.
Yeah, leave it to LA traffic to end this pursuit. Ileana Moreno, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Also tonight we have new.
Well, there you go. Chase is over. No more media. That's live. What channel was that? It's called Shout Out to Live Police Chase in LA. Well, there you go. That's enough shit posting for now. Yeah, we'll go live later on, eh? What do you reckon? We'll go live. I just got to mull up, grab a couple of beers, and if you want to kick back, we'll do an open panel and play some music. Thanks, mates, for hanging out for this shit post. Big love. See you, mates.